Hey, this is Anthony Benedict, and I just want to talk to you about something that's really important to me. Um, right now, I'm getting my master's in psychology counseling because I want to help people who have suffered depression and other things that have happened. And the more I get into these classes, the more I start finding out about this society, the angrier I become about what's going on. Because I have recently found out what this society does to people who suffer, who have had terrible things happen to them in their childhood. Terrible things. Sexual abuse, violence, severe emotional abuse. They usually end up in places that are terrible. Like prisons, for example. And these are just some statistics that I came across with my study, and that just I cannot believe this. I just cannot believe this system that we have in this country, where if you are sexually abused as a child, and because you were sexually abused, if you didn't have the coping mechanisms to actually handle it, in a system where you're probably going to get very little help, where you're going to suffer by yourself, you are going to end up in a terrible place because you didn't have the right coping mechanisms. You probably go in bad relationships, or you get addicted to bad drugs because you're trying to numb the pain, and because you're doing drugs, you know that's illegal, so you end up going to prison. And in these prisons, you think they help you? No, man, they're not about helping you. They're about punishment. So because you were punished as a child for reasons that you should never, ever, things should happen to you as a child that should never happen to you, what do? They punish you later in life for that. That's what it really goes down to. That's what it boils down to. Of course, people who are sexually abused or physically abused may decide to go to drugs or may decide to act out violently towards others. Is it a terrible thing? Well, yeah, it is. But it's more terrible that nobody reached out to them. The signs are there. Most children who do bad in school, or a lot of them, it's not because they're against the system. It's because something happened to them. That's their mind crying out for help because they don't know how else to do it. They're panicked. And what gets me the most is that we have hundreds of years of psychological research that can verify all this stuff. We have tons of knowledge. Everything from traumatic focused cognitive behavioral therapy to psychoanalysis to existentialism. But yet it's just kind of, all that stuff is in the background. The people who really need it aren't getting it. The people who need it, the people who are in these prison systems are not getting it. They're getting punished. They're getting worse. So they're punished as children, then they're punished later as adults. And even the people who don't go to prison, who don't get the help they need, they just kind of fade out into the background, having a life full of low self-esteem, probably one bad relationship after another, struggling in their jobs day after day until their body shuts down because stress will get you sick. And then they fade away when good help is there. And I think that therapists and counselors, psychologists, they need to step up a little more. Start giving people these help. Start getting people help. Because it's vital. If you made it that far in life where you can be a counselor or a therapist or a psychologist, you have coping mechanisms to get you through that you can teach to other people. Give them your knowledge. Volunteer. Go against this corrupt prison system. Corrupt. Because that is exactly what it is. They're for profit. They're not for rehabilitation. They should not be in their hands. They should be in your hands. They should be in counselors' hands, therapists' hands, psychologists' hands. Get into the system. Volunteer. Are they going to want you there? Probably not. But every mind we heal, every mind we help, including our own, helps out this society. Here are some statistics that I found just on prisons, okay? 68% of all men who are in prison, 68% were from childhood victimization. Something happened to them in childhood, okay? 68% are reported, so it's probably even higher. 23% of them were sexually abused as children before the age of 12. Why do you think they're in prison? Females, 73% of them are from family violence. 73%. Most of that from sexual encounters, molestation or other things. So what happens is their self-esteem is destroyed. Okay. They go into bad relationships. A lot of times, they are addicted to drugs. And so they do things for the person they are with. Most of them are in trouble because of a bad relationship. And then they go to prison. Because they get caught, doing whatever they need to do for their hobby or just to survive. When your self-esteem is gone, you're not going to be a, productive human being. If you're not going to be a productive human being for yourself, you're not going to be a productive human being for society. And what does society do? All right, take them away. We're going to punish you because you were traumatized. That's what we're going to do. That is insane. That is absolutely nuts. I mean, if you really think about that logic, it is nuts. Goodness. And I can tell you, and this is for another video, but there is absolutely barely any rehabilitation in prisons. Okay? Again, they are for punishment. They're for punishment. And the punishment lasts long after the individual is out of prison. Here's a statistic for thought. 100% of all men on death row have reported sexual abuse. 100%. If you don't believe me, look it up. Unbelievable. Now, what gets me is they should have been helped before all this happened. There are lots of cries for help. People need to read between the lines. And I need to make myself more responsible too. I'm going to start volunteering at a place called St. Vincent's, where children who are going to be placed in foster care because of terrible domestic violence or sexual abuse or other things. I need to start reading between the lines. I need to start seeing what's going on so I can help. Everybody does. These are our brothers. These are our sisters. Why are we punishing people? And if people can get help then, if they could have coping mechanisms that can be put in place now, it can prevent them from doing heinous things to other people in the future. Which a lot of times people are in prison for not even doing heinous things, but just for trying to numb the pain. This is just a poem someone from prison wrote. Okay. They want to remain anonymous, but this is just a poem about his memories fading away while he rots behind those walls. He calls it a broken record. My mind is a broken record that's been overplayed. Each time I visit the past, it fades further. So much that the needle of remembrance has worn the grooves smooth. Or what use is a record that refuses to play a song? For bare vinyl doesn't produce a thing. except the memory of memories, or perhaps a few crackles that remind me that I can no longer be reminded. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I want you to be happy. I want me to be happy so we can make other people happy. This was just something that was deeply on my mind because I was deeply disturbed by what is going on. Let's all get together and let's try to help change this corrupt system. Because deep down I know we all care. I think a lot of us don't know how to care. All right, you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.